Now, in terms of Ahimsa, now this is a wild silk. Like I explained, the cocoon, the nature of this silkworm is such that it only spins a cocoon with a hole in it, from which it can fly away. So that is why it has been called Ahimsa silk, because when in the making of this silk, it is always an empty cocoon. In the making of this silk, there is no point in using a whole cocoon. There doesn't exist one, and you cannot reel this silk. So basically, it has to be, done separately, like how cotton or wool is treated. So that's why this silk is unique in that way. You can treat it like a cotton, you can treat it like a silk, you can treat it like a wool. So it's very versatile.
Move on to the Q&A session. So Rupnen Garu, please come on video and ask your question.
Yeah, good afternoon. I just missed the first 10 to 15 minutes. Otherwise, I got a good overview of Jyotirthi Garu's wonderful session. And at the outset, I must tell you, I was just asking my better half to also join. The moment she saw you, she said, "Oh, I know this madam. I follow her." So you have a great fan and admirer in my wife. So I would know you, but she knows you. Okay. Ma'am, only one thing. This Ahimsa silk, particular silkworm, from what I understand is it's mostly in the northeastern states of our country. So if the feed is an important criteria for this particular species of silkworm, can it not be cultivated in one of these, either of these Telugu states, like well-drained soil and perhaps not too much of extreme climate, hot winds and all should not be there? So, and considering that olive plants is what you have shown as important feed for these worms.
Castor.
I'm sorry, castor. Castor. I think even castor oil is in demand, and so why can't we, if we grow castor oil plants in our Telugu states as a feed, and considering that, I'm assuming that the soil, the climate is also compatible, can we not cultivate this in our own areas? That's the question.
Sure. In fact, it was attempted earlier, but maybe it was premature then. But today, the Central Silk Board has taken notice. They have understood that this is a silk which has a lot of potential in today's sustainable world. And they are making a lot of attempts and encouraging farmers to engage in sericulture, not only in Telangana states, but in Ahmedabad and many other states, to help increase Eri production. Mulberry is today the primary silk, but the next silk can be Eri, in terms of its volumes and the scalability that could happen, given the current scenario of what all developments have happened and whatever introductions we've done. So yes, it can be done, and there are attempts to do that. Somebody else also got in touch with me where they're working with castor and the waste of the castor leaves to see if that also can be used as feed, in more controlled conditions and create sericulture, as a feed for more control. So yes, to answer your question, it can be, and there are moves towards that. And anybody who's interested in this sericulture, the Silk Board has a lot of funds for sericulture. So you could approach and you could start your own sericulture related to Eri.
Okay. Very encouraging to know. Yes. And I think world over, I believe that people are becoming very, very conscious customers. They are driven by ethics when they choose products. So I think with such wonderful people like you around, I think you can do your bit for that also, to see that maybe we can export a lot of our products outside the country also. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, there is a lot of combined work going on, and that is why it is being propagated. But to export outside, we also need proper standards, today, actually, even internationally, the standards for organic, the standards for sustainability are in the gray area. There's a lot of greenwashing happening. So, people are confused a little, but it will all get there. And we are, hopefully, yes, a lot of exports, because people are asking for the no shine silk because it's so versatile. Yeah.
Is the weather in Andhra, Telangana suitable for this kind of Eri silk growing?
Yeah. It is suitable. It is suitable. So it's generally hot, dry, and little bit controlled conditions you can do. Even Assam, it is there, no? So it's also hot and dry. But earlier, I think there was not enough effort. But now sericulture has developed more. The department also has worked more to support farmers who want to do this sericulture. So, anybody is welcome to reach out. And I am not an expert on the sericulture, but there are experts who will guide. Yeah.
This is from Mr. Mauli. How cost effective is Eri compared to Mulberry?
Well, I would say it is on par today, especially because the effort it takes to make it and the steps involved add to the cost. So it becomes on par eventually in terms of pricing and all, especially if you're adding value, and even as a silk to harvest it, it's not always that easy. You have to get the right quality, consistent quality. So all those efforts sometimes, so it's on par to answer your question. Yes.
Yeah.
And mulberry is actually a little more now because of, the whole economy, the way it is with China and everything. And there was some stopping of mulberry yarn coming in directly for some time. So mulberry rates shot up, but generally it's a little bit up down, but somewhere there. Yeah.
Your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Annadhanam, now from Coimbatore. I am already a textile graduate into textile yarn business. Good. First time I'm attending this kind of seminar in your organization, and the presentation was so good. I have got just two things to clarify with Madam Jyoti Reddy. One is, how many days would it take to degrade or decompose, biodegradability of this Eri silk? If anything, studies has been done, because that could be one of the sustainable point to discuss about biodegradability. Number two, when we call as Ahimsa Silk, I would like to understand how we rate it, because here also I believe the worms would get killed, right? The silkworms. No. I just wanted to know on that aspect. How do we call Ahimsa Silk?
Your first question was about biodegradability.
Correct.
Now, it is a fabric. So, and it's a natural fabric. There's no polyester or any microplastics in it. So there is no question of it not being biodegradable. And the thing is, it is very durable. That we have found, like I told you right in the beginning. Those fibers still exist. And Eri silk is known to be very durable. In fact, I was told once, one Dutch gentleman, he wore a Eri shirt, which he claimed he got 20 years ago, came back and said, I want the same shirt. So this is what I want. It's very durable. So biodegradable is not an issue because it's natural. Now, in terms of Ahimsa, now this is a wild silk. Like I explained, the cocoon, the nature of this silkworm is such that it only spins a cocoon with a hole in it, from which it can fly away. So that is why it has been called Ahimsa silk, because when in the making of this silk, it is always an empty cocoon. In the making of this silk, there is no point in using a whole cocoon because there doesn't exist one, and you cannot reel this silk. So basically, it has to be, done separately, like how cotton or wool is treated. So that's why this silk is unique in that way. You can treat it like a cotton, you can treat it like a silk, you can treat it like a wool. So it's very versatile.
Thanks for your clarification. To make it more cost effective, have you ever tried warp with Eri silk and then webbed with some bio silk kind of thing, like the viscose or any other material? Would it make it an affordable product for mass? To avoid nylon and polyester, which is ruling the silk industry, or ruining the silk industry, whatever the word you think.
See, you can combine, but the point is, why would you combine something so beautiful with a polyester? Why?
Not polyester. I'm asking about the viscose rayon.
Viscose, see, I have tried with modal and viscose, but then it's taking away the beauty of this. So, but If you do it with a cotton, with a natural fabric, which is adding some value, like with linen. Linen will give it little more stiffness. Mulberry, if you mix, it may give little shine and you'll still have the airy comfort. Now, if you mix with cotton, the cost comes down.
Yeah.
So I really want professional women, women who actually wear saris every day to have this product. So I'm trying very hard to see how, if it's only handloom, you have that whole range of product for sure where you support handloom. But if you want like the average woman to be wearing this and not polyester, because it's also easy to maintain. You don't need to starch it. You can just wash it and dry it and wear it. Even the ironing is very easy with this cotton, airy cotton. So airy cotton works very well for that range. If we do like maybe a powerloom airy cotton and then we print it, block print it or anything, then it becomes a more mass, to answer your question, instead of a polyester or something else. So it can be done in that way. So I'm trying very hard, but the costs itself are prohibitive. And when your volumes are not that large, then you become restricted. But hopefully, when more airy is done and there's more sericulture and we have more yarn, we'll know what to make with it, and you'll have everybody being able to afford. Because I really feel the women who wear this every day and who are working all the time should be wearing not only the saris, we are looking at garments and other things also now.
Nice of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
This is a question from Sonali Bansali. I'm keen to know, how can Eri Silk reach a larger population? I suppose you just answered that question.
It can. One is awareness. And two is now with the increase in sericulture of Eri and with improved technology to make this yarn. So now we have like almost 3 processes of making. We have the initial hand spun, which was always there. Then we developed, like I said, with intervention, we developed this other process, cottonized process. And then now because it's also like a wool, there's a worsted process. So you can have a combination of yarns that can propagate it more. And once it goes into the power loom, which we are trying, so without killing the other aspects, because each has its own space, we can, because the comfort is so good, you really want more people to enjoy it. And it's our product from India. So if you do that, yes, it can be scaled. You'll have more availability. That is the goal initially, which hopefully I think there is more attention now towards Eri, and more people are asking, what is this piece silk, and where do we get it? So it will take some time, but it will happen, I'm sure, eventually.
This is from a guest. Are all kinds of Eri silks Ahimsa silk?
Are all kinds of Eri silk? Eri silk is Ahimsa silk. But if you're asking of a product, then you have to check if the major percentage is Eri, and if there is a blend in it, you need to check what you are buying. But Eri by nature is Ahimsa silk because of its, the fact of using empty cocoons. That is why it has been called traditionally Ahimsa.
Where can one buy Eri silk in plain solid colors?
Come to me. So,
You're available on Instagram and people can buy from there?
We are now going to be putting up some fabrics and all, and we are slowly scaling up to that. We have some which you can dye also, like for kurtas and all. But depending on what the demand will be, we are now trying to titrate product. And of course, you can look online, and Assam, the stores which the Assam government promotes, I'm sure they will have fabrics. You can look in those stores, and get some good basic qualities which you can dye and you can wear, and they are very good too. What we have tried to do is show newer things which others are not doing with Eri, but we also do the traditional things on demand.
Mr. Himanshu, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. It was a great lecture and
you.
I enjoyed it very much. Really great to know about this sustainability of this great fabric that you are promoting. So basically, I am also in the field of sustainability in the circular economy only. So I just wanted to understand about the circularity of this fabric. Basically, like Government of India is coming up with the new rules that is called the EPR policy for the textile sector also. It is already there in the field of plastic waste EPR policies there. Then e-waste recycling EPR policy is there. Similarly, battery waste is also there. So similarly, Government of India is notifying a new rule on the textile sector about the recycling after end of its life. So suppose that it's as you said, it is a very durable fabric and all that thing. So definitely it is a good thing for the sustainability that it has got a very high life of maybe 25, 30 years or so. But even after that, after 25 years or so, it has to be recycled as per the new policy of Government of India. So whether it is easily recyclable and can you convert it into new raw material after its end of the life?
So, see, it is a spun yarn. I have seen when I traveled abroad also, they take fabrics and you have these machines which completely shred garments and it gets converted back into yarn. So similar things can happen here.
So there's no issue.
There's no issue at all. It's a natural fiber. Yes.
Okay,
and in terms of circularity, in the fashion world, what is more key is how you use dyes. And for our own purpose, we are trying to be more conscious. And we did do a life cycle analysis and all with ASOCHAM and through an IIT initiative. Because if you try to do this independently also, that it's very expensive. So it's quite prohibitive. But whatever we had information, we did. And I don't think it's all comprehensive to my satisfaction. But there is a move to at least be aware. At least from our business, we try to be aware where the carbon footprint is happening. If it's in the dye segment, I say let's use natural dyes, or where we use azo-free dyes, let's have water treatment plants or make sure there is a water treatment plant and we encourage our dyer to install that plant. Also, in terms of electricity, if things have to be in the power mode, like if it's a spinning mill, it will have electricity use. Hand spun, almost zero, and we are very high on the sustainable scale. When I'm using power loom fabric, I know there is electricity consumption. So then we say, why don't we install solar plants for electricity? So in that sense, we are trying to be in that sustainable space. And of course, in terms of coming a full cycle back to yarn, that's a clear possibility.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Just one more question. If I will recommend not to mix any other fabric into this because it becomes difficult to recycle it. Once you mix with some other fabrics and maybe some polyester or some nylon or some other type of fabrics, so it is difficult to recycle. In my industry, I have seen that it's difficult to recycle the mixed fabric. So I will just suggest, it's a suggestion only, not to mix with other fabrics just to lower the cost.
I would never, I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't think Eri deserves to be mixed with a polyester or any, that's blasphemy, according to me. So I would never encourage that. But blending with other natural fibers is great. And that will not cause any problem. So I have been told, why don't you do it this way? It will become cheaper. This can happen. It kills the product. See, the character of Eri is something. Why do you want to, that's my opinion. There are people who are mixing with modal and doing products and they do claim Eri Silk, or Eri modal. My thing is, okay, if somebody wants totally this kind of ahimsa, you tell them this is what it is. You want a certificate saying the moth has flown away and you got, then you have to pay extra and you'll get that. Because the market itself of the cocoons it's a bank. It's not organized. You get the cocoons and you have to buy it. But if there is somebody who's so particular, it can be done. And we have the wherewithal to do that if you are very particular. But otherwise, I would say ask the question. And if there is a slight blend of anything else to give it a certain look, a character, or for the weave to happen, because otherwise it won't be possible, then we tell you, okay, this much percentage is there. Otherwise, its maximum is Eri, like that. 90% is Eri, or 98%, 2% is this, like that. But we don't mix with polyester.
Thank you.
Of late, a lot of kanchi saris have become stiff and all. Are they mixing polyester?
They are like paper. You don't even feel like touching them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the silk or if it's the zari, what they are using, but
it's just, it doesn't even last for more than 5-6 years. It's splitting.
So there is something called art silk, which is not a silk. It is chemical man-made fiber. So I don't know if art silk is being used in some cases, but it's easy to distinguish a good silk from a non-silk. But that's another topic. Yeah.
Because even in the better shops that you buy,
Yeah.
the silk is not the same as our
No,
grandma.
not at all. That is the sad part. That is the sad part. So, that's why I kind of try to stick with this one yarn so that at least whatever limited product comes out, and if I do have to mix it with some good quality mulberry and still give it the hand, it will be comfortable for the wearer. Where ahimsa is not the big point, but the comfort is. And you don't mind wearing any silk.
Yes.
Then
So-
I will mix with the silks and do it. Yeah.
So there is this, I tried Eri Silk in Chanderi also, but doesn't get a good effect at the time. Could that person collaborate with you?
Yes, why not? Any willing weaver, I'm willing to work with. Yes, like I said, I would reach out and say, let's try, because for me, the idea was to explore. And once, let's say, sericulture develops a lot, of Eri sericulture, then you have to make product. Otherwise, how are you going to, use that yarn? So while you have traditional Eri product, I just did my small bit of showing different possibilities. So we can try Chanderi. You use, like the finer yarn, you mix it with zari. We have done Eri cotton mixed together with zari. So you get the nice looks. So surely we can.
Vasvi Sriram, would you like to ask a question?
Hi, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful session.
Yeah,
And ma'am, so for someone like me, who had been working in software for almost 10 years and want to start their career in fashion industry, especially with the sustainable fashion, see, there are so many challenges. I've already tried exploring all this, because of the cost and everything. There is so many challenges, if we want to enter into the sustainable fashion. What would you suggest, ma'am, as a first step to someone like me? What would you want? What would you suggest to do?
What exactly do you want to do? Something technical, or you want to do something like with weaving, or you want
Ma'am, I can.
just collate or curate sustainable fabrics, or do you want to curate sustainable fabrics? Do you want to do a technical thing where you create a parameters for judging sustainability? There's so many areas that need work. So you can pick and choose. I mean, you are young and you can do so much. So many people can do, because there are no clear parameters for sustainability. That's why it is becoming difficult, because to prove that you're sustainable, you have to spend. But I think if from your heart, you do it right. Like I said, you be conscious. You pick something consciously and say, and you be authentic to it. It will be a sustainable product. People will believe your authenticity without a certificate from the experience. And you can then go forward and work and explore which area of sustainability you want to work with. There's so many aspects to it. So you pick based on your skill and interest. And then you take it forward. And there may be some areas you like more, where you think you can monitor. Let's say you create some like a blockchain, something where there is the provenance of a product can be documented, from the beginning to the end, and create something where it is easy to use and not too expensive. Then everybody can benefit from seeing how it is made, and then it is sustainable. So there are many areas you can look at. And I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yes, ma'am. Actually, what I was interested in to make people like me wear more of sustainable fabrics with a lesser cost. As you said, you can have airy with cotton mix, and also linen cotton is also which something I'm exploring as such. So, ma'am, if I have to reach out to weavers, first of all, what are the good places in AP or in South India, ma'am, where I can go and collaborate?
if you look at the map, no, every nook and corner has so many organic cotton. We have such a rich nation of textiles. It's totally fascinating. You pick any corner wherever you are and find that place and engage with something for a long time. If you give up early on, then it won't sustain. But if you believe in whatever you're doing. And if you're there at that particular weaving tradition or the yarn or whatever it is, you engage with it, you will be able to do. So it doesn't matter south, north. If you look at the map, you'll see many things everywhere. There's so much for me to name. And it also depends which technique you like, you know. So even without a background, whatever, if you are passionate and you want to do it, just engage for as long as it takes. If you really want to be in that space, that's what I would advise. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
From a guest, how much does Eri silk cost?
Like I said, it's on par with mulberry, and it depends on the different counts of yarn. So the finer counts will range from 5,000, 6,000 rupees a kilo to the lesser counts working between 1,500, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is from Kea. Can Eri products be GI tagged?
Eri has been GI tagged.
Okay.
Eri has been GI tagged.
Okay.
In fact, Prime Minister Modi has spoken about it in his Man Ki Baat. And he talked about Meghalaya and how it is so indigenous. It has a GI tag, and he was promoting it actually.
Okay.
Quite a bit, yeah. It is.
Mr. Shmuel, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, very interesting presentation. Thank you very much. And I want to ask you next question. How, according to your opinion, sericulture can support improvement social and economic well-being of women from poor and low socioeconomic groups of population?
Yeah, in fact, like I mentioned, that was also one of the reasons that I stayed with this business, because I saw economic, social, and environmental impact. What we had when we had the unit, we had somebody from Netherlands come by, and we did actually calculate impact. And what was found at that time, this was a few years ago, was every 3.22 kilos of cocoon supports one life, And then also in terms of how it supports women, like in Assam and in these areas, this castor and this sericulture is not their primary thing. They grow areca nuts. And next to that, they have castor. Then they have little sheds where they have sericulture. So then they get all these cocoons out, and then they put in the banks and they sell. So, it impacts in that way. What we have calculated is like that. So, and environmentally, because of the less water consumption, we are trying to document that also in terms of environmental impact. But I think your question was more about poverty and how it will alleviate that. So it is actually like a supplemental income for the women of the household, where they can do it in their houses itself, the sericulture part. And then as an industry, when you do it, we have found that it impacts in this fashion, where, this many kilos, like 3.2, it was like calculated based on the impact. I can share that with you at some point. It impacts at least one life. So then based on that, we tried to calculate, okay, how many saris have we sold? How many cocoons got used? So, okay, somebody's, And then, of course, then you have the weavers and their weaving families, all them, they also get impacted. Then it's a good impact for the people who use it. So it's impactful in many ways other than just the poverty alleviation. Initially, when Eri was just a cottage industry and not so well known, they got a lesser price for the cocoons. Now they get a fair price because there are banks, and they also negotiate, because when the supply is low, it's like other things. They get a good price. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
So the next question is from Mr. Mauli. Weight of Eri fabric when compared to mulberry fabric, is it different? Is it the same?
See, the weight depends on how you weave it, and that is why Eri is generally a heavier yarn. So that was the whole challenge. But when you're weaving a fabric, you want it to be comfortable for the wearer, not too heavy. The traditional only handspun was more heavy. So now we try to make fabrics where there is a combination, or we use the finer yarns with some of the slubbier yarns to retain the character and make it lighter. So an average sari would be around 600 grams, 600 to 650, what we aim for when we weave. With any weaving tradition, we have tried to aim for that and not go too much. Like it can go up to like a kilo also. If it's a paithani with lot of zari and everything, like a kanjivaram which has lot of zari and it's a heavier sari, it will be heavy. But an ordinary sari which I want to wear, regularly, I want to go to work in it, like what I am wearing now, which is also Eri. We have figured out some weaving techniques where we can keep the weight, within that parameter for comfort, where it doesn't seem heavy. And also what I've found is, when you actually feel it like that, it seems heavy, but when you're wearing, you're not feeling that weight. But it's only 600 grams to 700. Sometimes when we weave the heavier saris, they go up to 800. Like in Kanjivaram and other weaves, same.
Yes. Would you like to ask your question?
Somebody else? Okay, good afternoon.
Is Eri consumption is successful in Ilkal, Narayanpet and Patola? First question.
One second. Do one at a time. First, Patola, have you worked with Patola? Is this question?
Yes, I have. That's what I said. So Patola is only an ikat weave. So Puttapaka in Telangana has ikat. Ahmedabad has ikat, which is Patan Patola.
Yeah, we prefer Ahmedabad
You're
one. The pattern and the color, that was Patola entity. Actually, it is having other Pradesh style of. But people who taste for Patola are more goes for Ahimsa Silk. One question. The Ilkal also and Narayanpet. First, another question is very important is once the insect leaves the cocoon, is it tapped and saved or is it open in the air, and how it is protected, or the birds kills trap the insect? That is what means. मेरा कहना ऐसा है, कढ़ाई से निकला और चूल्हे में गिर गया, ककून छोड़ गया, और is it protected?
No, see, it is not protected, but it has a life cycle of its own, which it continues. And it doesn't live actually too long after it comes out. So it becomes a moth, lives a short life and dies. Now, no, the millions of moths, if whatever come out, some will come out, some whatever happens
Their
there.
natural death.
When it flies out in the wild, that is when it is a natural death. It will fly out. So the point is with Eri, when you make the silk, that is the stage from which we are involved. You have to make it only with empty cocoons. Now, when it flies out, what's its protection is a little difficult to answer, because we can, the moths flying out, there are many. It's just the ecological cycle that takes the course.
Because his life is not saved. He is not in agriculture. He did not die in the hot boiling water.
That's all.
But he died in the open.
In the open. What we have is the empty cocoons. So only empty cocoons are always used for Eri silk manufacturing.
Ahimsa says that Geo or Ginedo.
Sorry.
Ahimsa says that Geo or Ginedo.
I got to his question. His question is, are we killing it? Are we not allowing it to live? And your answer is that every human being or every animal or every insect has its own lifespan. And
yes,
as per its lifespan, we as humans are not interrupting that lifespan. That's your answer. And he's got his question, you've got your answer. We're clear on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Then, so this is from Kea. Do you help in finding buyers for export? We
are in the business, so we export ourselves. So we are not a service agency where we identify buyers for you, but you can reach out to the Central Silk Board, and if you have a product and you would like to sell, they can guide you. You can go to the Silk Promotion Council and become a member there. And they have what they call the MDA scheme, the Market Development Scheme, where you can go in groups and set up, booths. And you can, that's how I started actually right in the beginning without Eri. It wasn't funny, So you can set up and then you meet buyers that way. And of course, today you have the internet. So it's a huge, wide marketplace.